You think you know everything about A Christmas Story? Think again. See, most people watch this movie every Christmas, it's tradition. But what they don't know is that the kid who played Ralphie was chewing real tobacco on set and got so sick they had to shut down production. And that's just the beginning. I spent the last 2 weeks digging through archives, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage to uncover the wildest stories from this holiday classic. Some of these facts are so crazy, they'll completely change how you watch the movie this year. But here's the thing, the most shocking revelation: it's not what you think, and I'm saving it for the end. If you love classic movie secrets like this, hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss what's coming. Now, before we dive in, let me set the stage here. A Christmas Story hit theaters in November 1983. Not December, November. And get this, it was pulled from most theaters before Christmas even arrived. The studio basically gave up on it. But here's where it gets interesting. This movie that the studio abandoned, it went on to become one of the most beloved Christmas films of all time. TBS and TNT now play it for 24 straight hours every Christmas day. Millions of people watch it on repeat. So, how did a movie that flopped in theaters become a cultural phenomenon? Well, that story and 14 other insane facts are exactly what we're covering today. And trust me, by fact number 12, you're going to see this movie in a completely different light. Fact number 1, the writer lived it. Okay, so here's something most people miss entirely. The movie isn't just some made-up story. It's based on the real childhood of Jean Shepherd, the guy who wrote it and narrates the whole film. Shepherd grew up in Hammond, Indiana in the 1940s. That's the real town that became Homeland in the movie. The old man with the leg lamp obsession, that was Shepherd's actual father. The Red Ryder BB gun saga? Completely real. Adults really did tell him he'd shoot his eye out. But here's the kicker. Shepherd didn't just write the movie, he makes a cameo in it. You see him in the department store scene as the angry guy waiting for Santa. The man literally put himself in his own childhood memory. Now, speaking of that department store scene, there's something even crazier about how they filmed it. Fact number 2. Filming in a real store at 3 a.m. The department store scenes were shot inside a real Higbee's in downtown Cleveland. But here's the problem. They couldn't shut down the store during business hours. So they filmed at ridiculous hours. Early mornings, late nights. That famous parade scene in Public Square? Shot at 3 o'clock in the morning. And Higbee's had strict rules. No profanity on their pristine retail floors. Remember when Ralphie says, "Oh, fudge"? They had to be extra careful with that scene because the store executives were watching like hawks. The building's still standing today. It's a casino now. But if you know where to look, you can still spot pieces of the original architecture. But the real question is, how did they get that kid's tongue to stick to the frozen flagpole? Because what they did was actually pretty genius. Fact number 3, the tongue scene trick. Here's what everyone wants to know. Did they really freeze that kid's tongue to a metal pole? But it looked real enough that kids across America tried it themselves every winter. Here's how they pulled it off. They built a fake flagpole with a hidden suction tube inside. They drilled a tiny hole right where Scott Schwartz's tongue would land and connected it to a vacuum motor buried under the fake snow. When the camera rolled, gentle suction held his tongue in place. Scott said he could pop his tongue off the second they yelled, "Cut!" The flailing arms, the muffled "stuck" sounds. That was all acting, really good acting. But here's the thing, while that scene was fake, there was something on set that was very, very real. And it made a 12-year-old kid violently ill. Fact number 4, real tobacco made Ralphie sick. Remember Ralphie's dream sequence where he's chewing tobacco like a tough cowboy? Peter Billingsley, the kid playing Ralphie, was actually chewing real tobacco in that scene. A prop guy on set gave it to him, thinking it would look more authentic. Within minutes, Billingsley was sweating profusely. His face went pale. They had to shut down the entire set for over an hour while he laid on a couch recovering. This was the early 80s, before anyone really thought twice about giving a kid real chewing tobacco for a movie. Different times. For the rest of the shoot, they used ground-up raisins instead. Now, that wasn't the only thing that went wrong on set. In fact, one of the most iconic props in the movie kept breaking over and over again. Fact number 5. Every leg lamp broke. The leg lamp, that major award, didn't exist until the production team invented it. Production designer Reuben Freed built it based on Jean Shepherd's memory of an old illuminated soda ad. They handcrafted multiple versions using fiberglass, breakaway glass, and a cast from a real model's leg. They needed sturdy ones for close-ups and sacrificial ones for the crash scene. But here's the crazy part. Every single leg lamp made for the film broke during production. Some shattered during shooting. One died in that famous accident scene. Yes, that crash you hear is a real prop meeting its end. The survivors didn't make it past wrap. By the time filming ended, the world's entire supply of authentic movie leg lamps was zero. And speaking of things that didn't survive, there's one casting decision that almost destroyed this movie before it even started. Fact number 6. Jack Nicholson almost played the dad. Picture this, Jack Nicholson as Ralphie's dad. It almost happened. Nicholson was a fan of Jean Shepherd's stories, and was even willing to take a pay cut to do the movie. But Shepherd, who co-wrote the film, knew that casting one of Hollywood's biggest stars would throw everything off. Instead of focusing on leg lamps and furnace battles, audiences would have spent 2 hours waiting for Jack to snap into full shining mode. So the role went to Darren McGavin, a veteran character actor who nailed the everyman chaos. The muttering, the crossword puzzles, the war against the Bumpus Hounds. He didn't feel like a movie star. He felt like your dad. But here's something even crazier. Ralphie almost wasn't Ralphie. Fact number 7. Ralphie beat 8,000 kids. Peter Billingsley was actually the first kid to audition for Ralphie. Director Bob Clark liked him immediately. But then Clark thought, wait, this kid's already famous from those Hershey's commercials. Maybe he's too obvious. So Clark did what any director would do. He auditioned half the continent. Future stars like Sean Astin and Will Wheaton threw their hats in the ring. Roughly 8,000 kids read lines, put on oversized glasses, and begged for BB guns. Clark spent months searching across the US and Canada, and after all that, he picked the first kid he auditioned. Billingsley walked in with that perfect mix of innocence and mischief and owned the part from day one. Now, Billingsley got to take home some pretty cool souvenirs from the movie, but what he kept might surprise you. Fact number 8. Ralphie still owns the bunny suit. Most child actors walk away with memories and maybe a signed poster. Peter Billingsley walked away with the holy trinity of Ralphie memorabilia: the pink bunny suit, the Red Ryder BB gun, and the cowboy costume. But here's the thing, Peter didn't save them, his mom did. While the studio treated these props like disposable wardrobe pieces, she had the foresight to squirrel them away, just in case this weird little Christmas movie ever mattered to anyone. And boy, did it matter. Occasionally, Billingsley lends the items out for anniversaries or museum displays. But most of the time, they stay stored away. The ultimate souvenirs from a movie he shot at age 12 that became a holiday institution. Speaking of things that became iconic, let's talk about that BB gun. Because here's something wild. Fact number 9. The BB gun never existed. Throughout the movie, Ralphie desperately wants a Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle with a compass in the stock and this thing which tells time. Here's the problem. That gun never existed. The Red Ryder model made by Daisy didn't have a sundial or compass. A different Daisy model had those features, but it wasn't a Red Ryder. So the props department had to custom build Ralphie's dream gun specifically for the film, combining features from different models to match Jean Shepherd's childhood memory. It wasn't until 2020, 37 years after the movie, that Daisy finally released an official replica called the Christmas Dream. Now, while we're talking about things that weren't real, let me tell you about the snow. Fact number 10. The snow was soap. Every bit of snow you see in the movie, fake. They filmed in Cleveland and Toronto, both cold climates, but they still used manufactured snow made from soap flakes and firefighting foam. During those scenes with the kids and the bullies, the actors were actually slipping and sliding on soapy ground. It looked great on camera, but it was a nightmare to work with. The irony? They're filming a winter movie in winter locations, and they still had to fake the snow. But here's something they couldn't fake, and it led to one of the most genuine reactions in the entire film. Fact number 11. The mom's restaurant reaction was real. In the Chinese restaurant scene, when the waiter brings out the duck with its head still attached, Melinda Dillon, who plays the mom, shrieks and starts laughing through tears. That reaction? 100% genuine. Director Bob Clark wanted authenticity, so he didn't give Dillon the real script page for that moment. She had no idea the bird was coming out with its head still on. When she says, "It's smiling at me," and starts laughing, that's not acting. That's Melinda Dillon realizing she's face to face with a very real duck head. Clark wanted a natural reaction, and he got it. Now, that restaurant scene has another layer to it that most people completely miss. Fact number 12. The fa-ra-ra moment. The famous fa-ra-ra-ra-ra mispronunciation by the Chinese waiters. That was scripted, pulled straight from Gene Shepard's original story. But here's what's interesting. The filmmakers talked it over with the actors beforehand to make sure the joke wouldn't come off as insensitive. The actors thought it was hilarious and were totally on board. If you watch closely, you can see the store manager in the background hiding his face because he couldn't stop laughing during takes. All right, now we're getting to the really wild stuff, because what happened to this movie after it was released? That's where the story gets truly insane. Fact number 13. The movie flopped in theaters. Here's something that'll blow your mind. A Christmas Story was a box office disappointment. It made a modest $19 million. Not terrible, but nothing special. And remember, it was pulled from theaters before Christmas even happened. You literally couldn't watch the Christmas movie during Christmas. MGM looked at it and basically said, whatever, and moved on. But then, something magical happened in the late 80s when it hit cable TV. Turner Networks launched their 24-hour Christmas Day marathons in the 90s, and suddenly, this forgotten film found its people. MGM gave it a theatrical shrug. Cable television gave it immortality. And speaking of immortality, there's one place where this movie lives on in a very physical way. Fact number 14. You can sleep in Ralphie's house. The house used for exterior shots in Cleveland? A superfan bought it on eBay in 2004 for $150,000. Brian Jones, a Navy veteran who'd already built a business selling replica leg lamps, saw the house listed and thought, you know what? I should just buy the whole thing. Then he spent another few $100,000 gutting and rebuilding the interior to match the movie's Toronto set shots. Every knob, every floorboard, obsessively recreated. In 2006, he opened it as the A Christmas Story House and Museum. Today, you can tour Ralphie's home, pose with the leg lamp, hide under the sink like Randy, and even sleep overnight in Ralphie's actual bedroom. It's at 3159 West 11th Street in Cleveland, a pilgrimage site for BB gun enthusiasts. Now, I promised you the most shocking fact, and this one, it connects everything we've talked about. Fact number 15, the director's secret connection. Bob Clark, the director of A Christmas Story, also directed Porky's, one of the raunchiest teen comedies of the 80s. Same guy. And here's the kicker. The studio only agreed to greenlight A Christmas Story after Clark promised he'd also direct Porky's too. Classic Hollywood leverage. But it gets weirder. Clark also directed Black Christmas, a slasher film about a killer terrorizing a sorority house during the holidays. Those quiet, snowy nighttime shots in A Christmas Story? Fans swear they echo his earlier horror work. Bob Clark went from slasher films to sex comedies to holiday classics. And he left little breadcrumbs for longtime fans along the way. The man had range. So there you have it. 15 insane facts that'll change how you watch A Christmas Story this year. From real tobacco to fake snow, from Jack Nicholson to 8,000 rejected kids. This movie's got layers most people never see. But here's the thing, we've barely scratched the surface of classic Christmas movies. There are dozens more stories like this hiding in plain sight. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a comment below and tell me which fact shocked you the most. And share this video with someone who loves classic Christmas movies as much as you do. They'll thank you for it. I'll see you in the next one.